I kind of go back and forth on the best way to solve this question. There is an algebra way, but I'm not going to do it at first. Mostly because I think if you're watching this video, it's because you either tried the algebra way and just like couldn't wrap your head around it, or the algebra way is just so far out of like what you can do with math that it's too hard. But there is a simple concept underlying this question, right? A landscape presenting a rectangular garden, we know what rectangles look like. The length of the garden is to be 5 feet longer than the width. The area of the garden will be 104 square feet. What will the length in feet of the garden be? So we could absolutely design an equation based around this information. But area of a rectangle is really, really simple, right? We know that area of a rectangle is equal to length times width. Now, we don't have answer choices, but at least for me, I learned how to guess and check way back in like elementary school. I learned how to do that without any answer choices. It was just like pick a number and kind of test it out. And so we're going to do that here because I think that that's much easier than dealing with the algebra. We can just pick some values, right? So we need the length. The key piece here is the length is 5 feet longer than the width. So 104, kind of a random number, but it doesn't matter. We don't need to be perfect here. Let's start with just, I don't know, we could do something really stupid. 10 times 5, we know that's only 50, so that's way off, right? So we can up it a little bit. Let's do 15 times 10, right? The length is still 5 feet longer than the width. Well, that's 150. That's too far. So just work your way towards the middle. How about 12 and 12 minus 5 would be 7. And 12 times 7 is 84. I always forget that one. Yeah. So not quite right. We could do 13 and 8. And that's, what do you know, 104. So what will be the length? 13. Honestly, I think that's pretty easy. And, you know, I just think it's we're basically turning this question into a multiplication question. And with the calculator, we don't even need to know the multiplication. We can just kind of keep doing it. The only drawback here is that if I was wrong about, like, I kind of made an assumption, right? I made an assumption that the area was, or the dimensions were going to be whole numbers. Now, if it wasn't, I might have started guessing some decimals, and because of the calculator, it's not so hard to do some decimals. But that might have kind of made it a little bit harder if there were decimal values here. So I'm going to show you the way that the book wants you to do it. They want you to say, okay, same equation, area is length times width, but it's two equations, right? The length of the garden is to be 5 feet longer than the width. So the length equals the width plus 5. So we can substitute that in, but knowing that I'm ultimately going to need to solve for the length, I'd rather reverse this equation and say that the length minus 5 is equal to the width, and then substitute that into this equation. So basically what I end up with is the area is equal to the length times the length minus 5. So when I solve for L, it's going to be my answer. If I did it the other way, I'd have to switch it. And so that might cause an error. And I do know the area, so let me substitute that in. The area we said was 104. So now I have to FOIL, or distribute, L squared minus 5L. And when we have a quadratic, we need to subtract because we want everything equal to 0. So that gets us 0 is equal to L squared minus 5L minus 104. And here's where the problem is we still need to think what numbers multiply to 104. And now we also need to find numbers that are a difference of 5. So we still end up kind of guessing and checking in a way. Because I doubt most of you are going to know that 13 times 8 is 104 off the top of your head. So you're still kind of doing a guess and check. You're just adding a whole lot of extra stuff on top of it. And so to shorten it, the factored form would be minus 13 plus 8. And so when we solve for L, we're going to get L is equal to 13 and L is equal to negative 8. But obviously we can't have a negative dimension. That doesn't make any sense. So L is 13, and that's what we got. It's possible, it's doable. Some of you are going to just jump right into that equation, no problem. I just stand by my overall philosophy for the SAT, which is if you can avoid algebra, avoid it. And guess and check, working with numbers feels easier. For a lot of us, it's just our brains handle numbers better than they handle variables. So use numbers. And don't be afraid to guess wrong answers, right? I mean, that's kind of the point of guess and check, is that we don't need to guess right at first. We guess whatever we want, and then we use the information from the wrong guess to check and to pick a new guess. So the failure is built into the concept of guess and check, and I think that that's another reason people don't like to use it, is they're afraid of guessing wrong. But you got to get over that. The whole point of the strategy is that you guess multiple things. It's unlikely you're going to get lucky on the first go. The only way you would is if you knew that 8 times 13 is 104. I did not know that, so I would have had to guess and check just like this.